All right, people, today's the day and I'm super excited about it. We're making cinnamon rolls. I have done 2 tests of my recipe, and the first one was absolutely delicious but a little doughy inside. And the second one was absolutely delicious but a little overcooked. So really, we're just nailing down the cook time, and I have to make quite a bit because I'm hoping to give them to all my family for Thanksgiving. This video will be after Thanksgiving, so you'll know if you got some or not, I guess, and if they were good. I'm hoping to make about 60 cinnamon rolls, and during my tests, I made between 6 and 10, and it took me like 3.5 hours, so hopefully we can speed that up because I'm already very tired. But it will be worth it because I'm really excited. My grandma always used to make cinnamon rolls for like the morning of holidays, so like Thanksgiving morning and Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then you like already have breakfast made. That's the theory, I think. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I'm not using my grandma's recipe. I'm improving upon it. It's gonna be a Carly's cinnamon roll recipe, I hope. I'm wanting it to be very similar to Cinnabon Cinnamon Rolls, where it's like really thin with a lot of layers and like soft and squishy and ooey gooey. So that's the goal. We'll see what happens. Let's start with giving you a rundown of the recipe. These are my recipe notes from making up my own recipe. So it's pretty unorganized, but I will simplify it and post it on my website so you have an easier time. So my plan for making all my cinnamon rolls is I think I'm going to make 2 double batches. I'm hoping that it fits in my KitchenAid as a double batch. If not, I'm going to have to hand knead it, which is totally fine. So so we're going to preheat our oven to 350. Our oven is preheated to 350. We'll start by, I'm using oat milk for my cinnamon rolls. You can use regular milk. It tastes the exact same in the final cinnamon roll product. I like using oat milk because when you microwave it to make it warm to activate your yeast, you're not like worrying about curdling your milk. So that's why I like oat milk. So we'll be combining I'll just tell you all the ingredients for a single batch because that's probably what you'll be making, and then I'll just add in my own as I go. Okay, so you will need 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. For one batch, you'll need 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast with 1 cup of warm milk or oat milk. Then you'll let that sit for 10 minutes in order for the milk to activate the yeast. You don't want your milk to be too hot or you'll kill the yeast. If it doesn't bubble and the yeast rises to the top, just start over. There's no need to proceed forward because your dough won't rise and it'll be like an entire waste of your time. Then we will combine 4 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/3 cup of butter and 2 eggs into our KitchenAid, or you can mix it by hand. And then you'll slowly, once that's mixed, you'll probably want to add in your flour slowly so it's not like doesn't puff on you. But then you'll add in your yeast, make sure that's fully combined. And then I usually mix it most of the way in my KitchenAid, dump it out on the counter, finish by kneading it. Then you make your little ball, and then we'll let that rise for 50 minutes. Then once it has risen, it should double in size. You're gonna want to roll it out, and I'll show you how thin that I like it. You can make it as thick or as thin as you want, but it'll change the cook time. And I think the more individual layers you can get in your cinnamon roll, the better it tastes because then you have more filling. So truthfully, that's just my opinion, but you can do it how you like it. Then you'll roll out your dough, add on your filling, and our filling is going to be 3/4 cups of room temperature butter, 1 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And it's gonna create a paste, which is very similar to what they use at Cinnabon, I think, because I went and watched them. And it's like a thick paste. as opposed to, I think a lot of like traditional cinnamon roll recipes, you just spread butter on the whole thing and then like sprinkle cinnamon and sugar. So we want it to be like a thick, heavy duty paste, and then that way it's like soft and mushy when you're eating your cinnamon roll. So then after we spread out our paste, we'll go ahead and roll up our dough, and we want it to be like really, really tight coils, so don't do it too fast. You want to spend the amount of time that you need to on it. Then we'll cut it into equal portions. Then after you cut it into equal portions and set it in your pan, it rises for another 30 minutes, and your cinnamon roll should double in size again. And then we'll put it in the oven for about 32 minutes, depending on how big you cut your rolls. And I like them, so like in a pan like this, I like to put 9 cinnamon rolls because I like them to be pretty big. And then when they rise, I want them all to be touching because I just really want the top to be crispy because I like soft, mushy cinnamon rolls. So that's what we're going for today. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. Wish me luck that I can finish this all in one evening. Okay, 2 cups of oat milk, and then I'm gonna warm it up in the microwave. Oh, and then we're gonna be making cream cheese frosting, which I'm excited about. I had to buy $20 worth of cream cheese to have enough cream cheese for all the frosting that I'm hoping to make. So that's kind of crazy. Seems like a ridiculous amount. The best way that I know how to describe the temperature of this oat milk is like when you initially stick your finger in it, it gives you like, oh, that's hot. But then when you're in there, you're like, ah, it's just kind of warm, you know? To our warm hot milk, we're gonna add in, you will be adding, to your 1 cup of oat milk, you'll be adding 2 1/4 teaspoons. I will be adding double. Oh, and we need to add our sugar too. I almost forgot. Oh no. Okay, so you will be adding 1 teaspoon. I will be adding 2. Once we add in our sugar, we'll go ahead and stir it up a bit. And then we'll set it aside for 10 minutes. And once you stir it and you set it aside, don't move it again. Don't touch at it. Don't stare at it. Don't look at it. Then you'll suddenly, once your timer goes off for 10 minutes, you'll look over and you'll be like, oh yes, my yeast has risen to the top. It's bubbly. It smells delicious. And you're good to go. But I certainly make the mistake of watching it and then I get nervous that it's not bubbling and blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, oh no, is my yeast old? It's not, just let it happen. Now we're gonna go ahead and make our dough. I like to start with this paddle attachment, I think it's called. And then once like it starts looking more doughy, then I swap to my dough hook. Also, usually I'm like, measure with your heart, it's totally fine. You cannot measure with your heart with this. It needs to be correct. So don't go wild in people. Oh, last time I creamed my butter and sugar first, so I'm gonna do that again. I don't think it's important or valuable, but that's how you make cookies, so I'm just sticking with the same thing. So we'll go ahead and add in our sugar. Okay, I'm using a full cup. You will just need half. And then, oh, only use unsalted butter because you're gonna be adding in your salt later. I have a 1/3 cup, so I'm gonna be using 2/3 cup of butter. Last time I trialed my cinnamon rolls, the filling somehow got into the bottom of my oven, so now my home is starting to smell the men now that my oven is preheating, but it's fine. Okay. And your butter needs to be soft, but not melted. Now, we will be adding our 4 eggs. My butter is just stuck in the paddle, which I can't stand, by the way. Also, I don't know if anyone else has this problem. In my KitchenAid, it just, like a thin layer just gets pressed onto the bottom instead of mixing in. And it really annoys me, but you know what? I got this as a hand-me-down from my sister, and I'm very grateful I did not have to buy one, so I shall keep my complaints to myself. You will be using 2 eggs. I will be using 4. It's always a good idea to crack your eggs in a separate little dish in case one of them is boiled. I did not do that, but you should, because if you crack it right in there and it's spoiled, then you have to start over, and then you've wasted ingredients, which is money, and that's bad, but you'll know, am I right? Our eggs are mixing. Next we're going to add the salt, and then we're going to add our flour. You'll be using 1 teaspoon of salt. I will be using 2. When you're mixing just your first ingredients, you can mix it as much as you want, it doesn't matter. But once you start adding your flour, you're going to want to mix it as little as possible because you don't want your dough to be tough. And then if you end up mixing it too long in your KitchenAid and then you have to like knead it out a little after, then it just continues to get tougher and tougher. And we want like soft dough. Also, your dough's going to be pretty sticky, but eventually once you get to the rolling out stage, it's not as sticky. So just trust the process. Start adding in my flour. You need 4 cups. I need 8. I have heard that for flour, you want to go like this, so it kind of loosens, and then with the back of your knife, just shove off the top part, because you don't want it mounted, because that's not a cup. And again, we have to actually measure at this point. No Carly's shenanigans. Oh, I made a big mess. Oh well. You know, I'm just going to leave that flour on the counter for when, well, that's actually a while from now when I need to roll it out. That'll be like an hour. So 2 cups. Three cups. I don't know if this is gonna fit in my mixer. We were at 3, so this would be 4 cups. And our yeast has risen. Yay, I love the smell of yeast. You probably thought I was gonna drink it. Yeah, it smells like bread. I love bread. Oh no, am I at 5 cups? See how it's starting to toss flour out? I rewatched my video and realized that was my 5th cup, and my dough looks like this, so squishy, which is nice. So I'll keep adding in my flour. So this will be cup 6. I should probably keep a tally on the side, and I would recommend that you do, so it's a little easier. 6. Flour's going everywhere, but I don't care. My general theory is that you have to clean up anyway, no matter what. So there's never any reason to be like, oh no, it's getting so dirty. Okay, we're at 7. And then this will be our last one. And last time I remember, it looked like my dough was way too dry. So then I ended up later on adding in a wee bit of melted butter. So we might have to do that again. Okay, that's my last cup of flour. Great. I'm excited. Yay, yay, yay. Getting there a little huggy. Oh, and don't forget, you haven't added all your milk and yeast yet, so there's still hope for your dough. Mine just looks like powdered butter flour at this point, so no need to worry. Okay, this is how my yeast is looking. I'm happy with it. It just occurred to me that maybe it could use a bigger jar so it can keep expanding, but this is what we're doing. And I just slowly add it in, and I keep my mixer on the lowest setting don't know why in my head yeast is dainty and I don't want to mess it up, but I don't think that's relevant, so who knows? Does anyone else have like, wow, favorite rubber spatulas for certain things? So like, I usually hate this Pampered Chef rubber spatula because it's heavy and kind of bulky and it doesn't really bend, which isn't typically what I'm looking for in a rubber spatula. But for making dough, I'm like, oh yes, this is my favorite rubber spatula. I can't do it without this rubber spatula. I don't know why. It's just how it works. My dough gets clumped up on my center paddle, so I'm gonna go ahead and swap it out to my dough hook so you can start kneading it for me a bit. It's looking sticky and it smells delicious. So we must be on the right track. There we go. We certainly won't need to add butter this time. You might, and I would recommend that. So if you're to this stage and your dough's looking dry and kind of weird, I would just add in about a quarter cup of melted butter and it'll soften it right up and then you'll be good to go. Okay, that's as much as I want it mixed. I'm gonna go ahead. I have some flour on here. We're just gonna call that good. It's really, really soft. Do not be confused or discouraged. This is what you're looking for. And it should smell absolutely wonderful. If it doesn't, your yeast is probably old and you need to start over. Why? Jeez Louise. Yikes. Okay. Okay, for kneading, I like to spray my hands with this baking pan. That way you don't stick very much. You can use flour, but I just like to avoid using flour if necessary. Sometimes you need it, but if I can get away with it, I just want to keep my dough nice and soft. So when we're kneading here, I just like to knead it just barely enough to get it in like your classic dough ball with no seams for it to rise well. Oh look, we're almost there. Also, I'm not great at kneading. I usually do like a push, push, and then pull back, you know. I'm not a professional. I just do what works. Okay, this is looking pretty good to me. I like to slap it a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna get a bowl, grease our bowl. By grease, I mean spray it with pan. You can use butter or oil. I don't think it really matters. We're gonna plop our baby in, set our timer for an hour, and let it rise. Oh, and you're gonna cover it too. Again, this is one of those particular things. I'm like, this is my bread rising bowl. I can never know if it's risen or not if it's not in this bowl. That's not true, but that's how it feels. So you want it coated. I'm just gonna spray the top just a wee bit so it doesn't get dry. And then we're gonna give it a cover. All my other towels are, oh man. We're gonna have to risk it. Last time, I was really smart, and I preheated my oven to 170 and then turned it off, and then I let my dough rise in there so it was like warmer. I'm sad I didn't do that. Oh well. You know what? We can handle changes. If 2020 has taught us anything, it's how to be flexible. We have 18 minutes left. for our dough to finish rising. And I just made another double batch of dough. So next we're gonna make all of our filling for my now 4 batches of dough. I'll post your exact ingredients. Right now I'm just kind of winging it. When I made it during my trials, I added too much brown sugar, which became kind of crunchy on the bottom of my pan, so I'm trying to avoid that. I also only have this much brown sugar, so that's the max amount I will be using. If it doesn't work, I'll try it again and post the correct recipe in the recipe on my website. So you don't need to follow me precisely right now in this very moment. But I'm going to be adding in some hunks of butter. Then I'm going to mix it up with the paddle attachment. I want it to get like super creamy. And this is going to seem like a lot because it's for 4 servings, but it probably won't even be enough. Because I want a lot of filling. That's how I like my cinnamon rolls. Once my butter is all creamy, I'm just going to start adding my brown sugar. I think we need more butter. Oh yeah, that's looking good. Now I'm going to add my cinnamon. You want it very cinnamony, people. I think just a little bit more. Then we're good. It's going to mix up. And it's supposed to be a thick paste. A lot of people use lard, I think. I'm not doing that. It sounds disgusting. Okay, see, check this out. It's like pasty, smells wonderful. Great. We still have 13 minutes, so maybe we should go ahead and make our frosting. We have 5 minutes left for our dough rising, so we better get moving on our frosting. I'm gonna be quadrupling or maybe 5 or 6 times the normal recipe because I want to make sure there's enough frosting to give to everyone. I am realizing that I did buy way too much cream cheese, and that's why it was $20. So do with that information what you will. What you're gonna do, you need 8 tablespoons of butter, 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, a quarter cup of cream cheese, half a teaspoon of vanilla, an 1/8 teaspoon of salt. Vanilla, I always measure it with my heart. You can do the same. You'll see how much I'm gonna make. It's gonna be a lot. Make sure your I'm called sour cream. Make sure your cream cheese is soft, because that'll make the whole process much easier, and same with your butter. I'm going to add in my cream cheese first. Okay, great. I'm thinking I'm going to use 3 tubes, so I'm going to have 3 extra, which is fine. I guess I'll find some way to use it up. I wonder how. Oh, it doesn't expire until April 2021, so I have plenty of time. Okay, great. Now I'm gonna add my butter. Great. This is all the butter I have left, and it's exactly how much I wanted. Oh, this is really coming together nicely, people. I did need butter to grease my pans, but we'll do with that. Great. I'm going to add in my salt. I cannot for the life of me figure out what 5 times 1/8 5/40. Doesn't help me. Okay, I'm just gonna have to get the 1/8 teaspoon and put it in 5 times. I'm gonna be using almost a full teaspoon, I guess. I have no idea how much salt I just put in there. But you know what? That's okay, we will adjust if needed. I'm gonna be putting about 2.5 teaspoons of vanilla. My mom has, so I use fake vanilla because not all vanilla is expensive. But my mom has like this white color vanilla and it's real vanilla, so it doesn't dilute the color of your frosting. That's really what you should be going for. But we're on a budget. All right, now we're going to start adding our powdered sugar. So 3, 4.5. I'm going to be going for about 6 cups, I think. I like thick frosting because you're going to put it in the microwave anyway for it to melt. I mean, you don't have to, but I don't know who doesn't like their cinnamon roll warm. And frosting's not an exact science. Just taste it as you go and you'll be a happy camper. 1. I've seen these like splatter guard things that you can put around a side and then your like flour and powdered sugar and stuff won't puff up. So that's kind of interesting. I've never had one, but you could if it bothers you. I just let it happen. 3. Was that 3 or 2? Well, I don't know. I think 3. Look what just happened to me. Don't know if this is 5 or 6. Let's go ahead and taste it. It tastes so good. I think it needs more salt. And I'm gonna put another cup of powdered sugar. I would like to finish this bag, but I don't think we need that much. If yours gets thicker than you want, you can add a little bit of milk or maybe a little more butter. Whatever your heart says is probably just fine. Marvelous! I'm very happy with how this turned out. I'm gonna put a teeny more salt. Yay! Okay, for now it's gonna go in here because I cannot decide how I want to send it home with people. I really hope you can't see in my sink because it looks absolutely disgusting. Yeah. Frosting just brings so much joy. To me, at least. Look at how much. I love it. I love it. Great. We're finally done mixing stuff. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. Okay, we're gonna get cleaned up, then we're gonna roll out our dough. It's time to roll out our dough. It's risen to about twice the size. When you poke it and it doesn't spring back, I don't really know the spring back rule, but there's something, you can Google it. If you poke it and it springs back up, it's ready, or if it stays down, it might be ready. I'm not sure. But to me, it looks good, so we're gonna go ahead and roll it out. I need flour. Again, I'm a bare minimum flour gal. I'd rather it be sticky and difficult than dry. Oh, I use this like silicone mat thing to make sure I get similar measurements each time. I roll it out farther than the mat, but it gives me a good rule of thumb about how far it needs to go. I have to split my dough in half, but you won't. Okay, she is thick. Great. The size I'm going for is just a little bit bigger than the mat. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be a little smaller. Maybe I didn't split it exactly evenly. But this mat has a little measurement, so it says, oh, getting dirty. 32 centimeters by 50. So 20 inches, 12 inches by 20 inches, okay? Okay, so it's just a little bigger than the mat. You want it pretty, like, just about as thin as you can get it without being like, oh no, I won't be able to roll it up. If your cinnamon mixture is difficult or looks like it's gonna be difficult to spread, just warm it up for a few seconds in the microwave. And you want it to cover every edge, okay? No skimping on the cinnamon. Like, you don't need to leave a little border. Nothing weird, people. Don't go rogue on me. Follow the instructions. Be sure when you roll out your dough that your counter is completely clean and you don't have any crunchies or anything left from kneading your dough earlier. Okay, so my strategy with rolling this is to get it as tight and as symmetrical as possible. I rarely do a great job, but I do put full effort in every time, and that's what I want you to do. So I just start on one end and just slowly start rolling it up. Okay, look at our sneaky boy. Ugh. You're gonna wanna transfer it over and then we're gonna cut it. A lot of people use dental floss and you just pull it up across the sides and pull it down and it cuts your cinnamon rolls without pushing them down. I don't have dental floss, not because I'm gross and I don't floss my teeth. I use little dental pick things. I use a tiny serrated white knife and it works great. You just go slow and don't push down, just saw. I start in the middle and then again and then again and then again. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is gonna make between 14 and 16 rolls, which is exactly what we were hoping for. And you just wanna be very gentle. Don't squish the rolls. Oh, they smell so good. Sparking a lot of joy for me. Okay, you want them to be as close to the same size as possible. Obviously, they're not going to be perfect, but just do your best. I don't excel in that category, but I make an effort. Be sure to grease your pan. I think it's best to use butter just rubbed on there, but I'm going for 9 per pan, I think. Oh, also, if you have some that are larger and some that are smaller, just cook them separately and don't bake them for the same amount of time, and then you're good to go. They need to rise for 30 minutes, so set your timer. Great news, people. I'm finally done rolling out all my cinnamon rolls. All these pans back here, I've made 62 cinnamon rolls, so hopefully they all turn out awesome. Our first batch is ready to go in the oven. So they've risen a little bit. So remember, before they weren't touching and now they are, which is a good gauge to see that they've risen after your 30 minutes. If you have set your timer for 30 minutes and they don't look like they've risen, maybe wait 5 to 10 more minutes and just see what happens. Everyone's dough is going to be a little bit different. So just check and make sure that yours is going according to plan. I'm going to stick them in the oven for 30 minutes and then I'm going to check them after that. We're getting so close to having finished cinnamon rolls. I'll let you know what they look like when they're done. Guess what? Our cinnamon rolls came out of the oven. They look delicious. Look at them. Yum, yum, yum. I'm going to do a taste test for you. Then it's up to you to make your own. Okay. That's a great cinnamon roll. I hope you liked today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and enjoy your cinnamon rolls.